Hello everyone, welcome back to Agri Farming. Today we are back with a very important topic, that is organic tomato farming. Tomato is a warm season crop. It requires warm and cool climate. The plants cannot withstand frost and high humidity. Also, light intensity affects pigmentation, fruit color, fruit set, etc. The plant is highly affected by adverse climatic conditions. So today we will take you through growing tomatoes from planting to harvest without chemicals, plus companion plants and organic fertilizer tips to give you tons of tomatoes. First, let me highlight the main steps of planting tomatoes from planting to harvest. The first is start with healthy young plants. The second is choose a growing location with full sun, at least 6 hours of sun, and a soil pH of 6.2 and 6.8. If soil is cold, heat it up by covering with landscape fabric or black plastic mulch. Soil temperature should be at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 15.5 degrees Celsius in the daytime. Amend the garden soil in the planting hole with organic matter and calcium. Plant tomato seedling deep after risk of frost in plant. Tomatoes will grow a new root system from the buried stem. Mulch plants to maintain even soil moisture, prevent diseases, and keep fruit clean. Install a trellis, stake, or cage to provide support for the plant. Add tomato companion plants to help with pests and diseases and improve pollination. Water regularly and deeply at ground level, about 1 inch per week. As the plants get larger, remove the bottom leaves. Harvest ripe tomatoes and store at room temperature. Grow the tomato organically. Choosing the right tomato seedling is very important as it will help to cope up with diseases and climatic conditions. Avoid big plants in tiny pots and tall, floppy plants. They are probably root-bound, that is, too many roots in not enough space. This causes stress to the plants. There are two types of tomatoes based on how they grow. The first is determinate tomato. Determinate tomato varieties grow to a certain size and stop, and tend to ripen all their fruit around the same time. The second is indeterminate tomatoes. This will keep growing until frost and ripen fruits over a longer time period. Choose the right variety of tomato so that you can grow very well in organic way. Some of the varieties that you can choose for growing organic tomatoes are Arka Saurav, Pusa Early Dwarf, Pusa Ruby, Pusa Gaurav, Solan Gola, and Arka Meghali. Choosing the right suitable soil is as much important as choosing the right seedling in organic tomato farming, because choosing the right suitable soil helps to grow the tomato without diseases and with climatic changes. Tomatoes do very well on most mineral soils, but they prefer deep, well-drained sandy loams. Upper layer of the soil should be porous with little sand and good clay in the subsoil. Soil depth 15 to 20 cm proves to be good for healthy crop. Deep tillage can allow for adequate root penetration in heavy clay type soils, which allows for production in these soil types. Tomato is moderately tolerant crop to a wide pH range. A pH of 5.5 to 6.8 is preferred. For organic tomato farming, addition of organic matter to mineral soil will increase your yield. For organic fertilizers, you can choose farmyard manure, animal waste, plant waste of agriculture, and treated sewage sludge. You can also use vermicompost and compost as a fertilizer. For land preparation, the ideal seedbed should be 60 cm wide, 5 to 6 cm long, and 20 to 25 cm high. Clods and stubble should be removed from the seedbed. Add sieved FYM and fine sand on the seedbed. Make sure you make the seedbed properly so that it will help to decrease the disease infection. Irrigate the seedbed twice a day till the seeds germinate. One of the important points in planting tomatoes is how close together you can plant the tomatoes. If you train your tomatoes in a single main stem up a string trellis, you can plant as close as 15 inch apart, that is 37.5 cm. When using other supports or cages, plant 2 feet, that is 60 cm apart. Give unsupported intermediate tomatoes 3 feet, that is 90 cm between plants. Transplanting the organic tomatoes on the seedbed, disease management and weed management is very important. Disease are major limiting factor for tomato production, and the disease is categorized as the first one biological and the second is non-biological. In biological diseases, infectious organisms that include fungi, bacteria, viruses, and nematodes. These diseases are contagious and can spread from plant to plant in a field, often very rapidly when our environmental conditions are favorable. In non-biological diseases, the second group includes those caused by non-infectious physical or chemical factors such as adverse environmental factors, nutritional or physiological disorders, and herbicide injury. Non-infectious disease cannot spread from plant to plant. However, the distribution of the disease may be quite uniform and extensive if an entire planting was exposed to the adverse factor. Now, let's see some of the important and some of the common diseases that we can see in tomato plants. The first is wilts and blights. Under wilts and blights, one of the important disease is FUSARIUM wilt. This disease is caused by pathogens that invade the vascular system and disrupt water flow through the plant. You can control this disease by growing tomato variety resistant to FUSARIUM wilt is the most effective means of control. Under foliar diseases, early blight is very common. Early blight is common leaf spotting fungal disease of tomato. To control this disease, crop rotation with crops of other than eggplant, tomato, and pepper should be practiced to reduce and delay early blight development. Avoid prolonged wetting of leaves from irrigation or use drip irrigation. To control all these diseases from these tomato plants, mulching is very important. Mulching of tomatoes plants, you should lay down wet newspaper and cover it with straw after the tomato plants are well established. Don't mulch with straw until you are sure your soil is warm. If it's a cold year, you will put black landscape fabric over the straw. You can get a cleaner tomatoes, more even soil temperature and moisture, and a very few weeds. Some people use black or red plastic mulch for warm soil. Now, let's discuss organic tomato trellises and supports. Putting up trellises or supports for growing organic tomato is very important. Put up trellises or tomato cage when you first plant your tomatoes to avoid root damage later on. Make sure whatever you use is well secured. High winds can destroy a tomato patch. A trellis lets more light and air get into the tomato plants and makes fruit easier to harvest. You can use sticks or large wood to make this trellis. Let's see some of the best companion plants for organic tomato. They are basil, cleome, cosmos, parsley, any tall aster family flower. You can also grow asparagus, basil, bush beans, cabbage family, carrot, celery, chive as good companions. They suggest avoiding planting pole beans, dill, fennel, and potatoes near tomatoes. Now, let's see how much water you should need to grow organic tomatoes. Tomatoes need about an inch of rainwater or equivalent per week. If rain fails, watering plants at ground level is best. Overhead sprinklers may spread fungal diseases. Lack of water, too much water or irregular watering can cause blossom end rot and cracking. Now, let's see how to harvest and how to store organic tomatoes. Once your tomatoes turn red, remove them from the vine and enjoy. Store tomatoes at room temperature as refrigeration makes them bland and mealy. Don't rip or tear the stems when picking. This stresses the plant and opens the path for disease and insect damage. Most tomatoes will have a little knob in their stems, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch above the tomato, where the stem will snap easily in two, releasing the tomato from the plant. Before harvesting, one of the important points you should remember is pruning tomato suckers. Now, let's see how to prune your tomatoes. You want to start pruning tomatoes plants and when they get to be about 1 to 2 feet, that is 32 centimeter tall. Any smaller than this and the plant may not recover from the shock of being pruned. By the time your tomato plants gets to be this size, the plant will have branches coming off the main stem. Where these branches meet, you will see an additional branch growing. This is called a tomato sucker. Using sharp, clean pair of pruning shears, snip these small sucker branches off. The best time to prune tomato plant is in the early morning or a dry day. This will allow for the wounds from the pruning to heal cleanly and will reduce the chances of plant being infected by disease. If you choose to prune tomato plants, make sure that you use watering methods that water the tomato plants in the soil level, rather than from above like sprinklers. This will prevent the splashing of soil up onto the tomato plant and the tomato plant wounds. That's all folks for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to this channel and please ring the bell button to notify you whenever new video is uploaded. Thank you for watching.